I know I've been away for a while, at least pre-trailer, and I'll explain myself after we get into this teaser breakdown. But we got a whole new Kingdom Hearts 4 teaser, so let's get right into it. Welcome back, y'all. This is your girl Empowered Muse. If this is your first time here, welcome and take a seat and grab your favorite thing to take notes on. Generative AI is not allowed. If you're not new here, shout out to y'all for subscribing and supporting this channel, and don't forget to like the video. So as I said, I've been away for a while, and then Kingdom Hearts 4 decided to release a second teaser, and thus Nintendo decided to make a liar out of me because I was under the impression that we wouldn't see Kingdom Hearts 4 information really until maybe this winter, especially on the heels of getting a Final Fantasy VII Part 3 trailer that was revealed at Summer Game Fest, and that is slated to be released in spring of next year. But we're going to get right into all the characters and Easter eggs that I noticed in the second Kingdom Hearts 4 teaser. And let's start with the initial voice that opened with the teaser. So I had to double check to see if it was the same as Strelitzia in the first Kingdom Hearts 4 teaser. I am of the mind that it is a different voice, and it's definitely a different affect. I would throw both of those voices here to let you hear it for yourself, but I do think that is a different person.
あなたはこの世界に来て7日間ずっと眠ってこの世界の構造はとても複雑で私たちが定義する光と闇を具現
So my initial guesses for the person holding this voice and narrating are maybe Ava or Subject X, who we are assuming at this point to be Scold, or someone related to Scold apparently, or maybe even Envy. I'll explain a little bit more of why I think Ava and or Envy could make an earlier appearance than assumed a little bit later. The second thing to notice is the person on top of the building, who may or may not be the same person speaking, but I'm gonna treat them as separate for now. But is that the Master of Masters on top of the building? I believe I said that in my initial reaction, but of course there's an initial reaction and I've been off for 11 months. So it was just a lot of information coming at me all at once, and it was a lot of overload. So I'm gonna correct the record for a lot of that here. So I don't actually think that's the Master of Masters on top of that building, even though the body language gives that same sort of malevolent whimsy, I like to call it, that the Master of Master has. The stature does seem a bit smaller, so it might be a foreteller, and the ones with that stature, or at least close to it, are Envy, Gula, or Ava. But we do know that it seems that Ava has defected. I don't think she has gone to the upper room, but she has at least disappeared and maybe even defected from the foretellers. And as we saw at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, all the foretellers, except for Ava, reunited when Lucio reappeared for him to spill his tea about everything that's happened ever since, at least ever since that Keyblade War that took place in Union Cross. There's also a possibility that it might be Lucio, just because the vessel that he's taken over, at least throughout the Dark Seeker saga, which was Braig, did have sort of a similar statue. When you look specifically at his shoulders, they're very pointy, although not as pointy as Dimmick's, but still pointy. So it is possible that it's also Lucio, but because of the, I would say, well-definedness of the black coat that this person is wearing, and because you couldn't really get a look at their shoes, which is how you can tell whether it is a man wearing that coat or a woman, the stature does look a bit more feminine to me, but I'm still holding room that it could be Lucio. Speaking of, I should also point out at this point that I reserve the right to be wrong with any of this. So let's get into the quote that opens up the second teaser. The quote, "The structure of this world is incredibly complex. At first, there were no manifestations of what we know as light and darkness, but our arrival here brought those concepts with us, the darkness given physical form only after we defined it." So this quote points to Keyblade wielders from the Union Cross / Missing Link, RIP, era appearing in Quadratum, perhaps as their form of an afterlife, and bringing their concepts of light and darkness to this unreality or realm of fiction. And something that was a little interesting was that after this quote, and after we see the dark side's destruction within Quadratum, it's sort of juxtaposed with these flashes of faces that appear throughout the teaser, which I'll get to in a minute. I definitely want to do a whole theory video on this quote and what it means and what it might point to as far as who is arriving in Quadratum and why and what their impact is. I definitely wanted to flag it now as like a point of interest. So going back to the flashes of the faces that I had mentioned, we have the flash of Strelitzia, but the second face is more than likely Sigurd, who I previously referred to in the teaser as Vel, and I meant Valley apparently. More on him in a little bit. Also because even though his face had been covered in the 2D renditions of Being Cross, the designs of at least his top sort of look similar to Sigurd's outfit design that we saw in Union Cross. So we're gonna say that Sigurd for now. And if you're new to this channel, that is a character from the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, who, like I said, was actually faceless for a while until maybe now when he's unmasked. The third face is Valley, who I mistook for Vel. I was reading really fast when I was trying to avoid spoilers about the teaser and saw a comment that someone said it was Vel and it's Valley. It's Valley. Valley is also a character from the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, but it's later rendition of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Dark Road, which was the story of young Xehanort's time as a student in Scala at Kylam and a little bit beyond, basically showing his ascension to becoming the Dark Seeker. Valley was one of the upperclassmen, so it does kind of make sense that Valley's there because he was one of the upperclassmen that perished. And I will say, I know in the reaction video I was saying that this might have been a Azora Noctis sort of flip, but I was really hoping that it was the Azora Noctis. That would have been really cool. But what's also interesting is that Valley is wearing different clothes from at least his character sprite in Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. Not to say that you can't change clothes, because we see that happening all the time in Kingdom Hearts, especially when Sora travels different worlds, but especially with characters like Strelitzia, whose clothes didn't really change. It's interesting to see that Valley took on, if this is in fact Valley, that he took on a different outfit when this person's outfit does look very much like what something that Azora or Noctis would have donned. But of course, me being gone for 11 months, I did have to come back and remember that, like, we did see Azora in Quadratum, or at least some sort of version of it. So definitely not Azora. Like 10% chance is Noctis, but it's more than likely Valley, who is, again, a mobile game character. And I'm not quite sure why he's there, but we'll see. Then we see Luxord, who we already know was confirmed essentially by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind after that secret battle with Azora. And then we see someone walking who I think is actually the Master of Masters. It might be another foreteller though. All right, so next we have what I call the Xehanort umbrella scene. This one was really exciting. I have to say it was probably my favorite part of the teaser, just because one, it confirmed a piece of artwork that was released in August of 2022, which I'll get into in a little bit. But two, it's also just good to see Xehanort again. Personally, Xehanort did grow on me, especially after playing through Dark Road and learning more of his story and having a more complex and nuanced take on light and darkness and power. So it was just really good to see him again. I'm guessing or assuming that this will basically be sort of a redemption arc. And again, because Quadratum is slated as sort of this afterlife, it makes sense for Xehanort to be there. But this will be sort of a redemption arc per se, since at least between Xehanort and Sora, because Sora only knew Xehanort as someone annoying and bad and making evil decisions for the sake of trying to wipe the slate clean. But the particular scene with Xehanort holding the umbrella is a callback. I wouldn't really say callback, but a confirmation perhaps of an original artwork piece that Director Nomura released around late August of 2022 after the release of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. And when Director Nomura released this artwork, he did essentially say that just because this was the end of Xehanort's story doesn't mean we won't see him again. So he was hinting that we probably would see Xehanort again, and more likely in Kingdom Hearts 4. So this scene where we see Xehanort holding the umbrella over Sora just sort of confirms that, yes, Xehanort will in fact appear again in Kingdom Hearts 4. I think I'll do a separate video going over the gameplay mechanics because there was a lot there. Let me know in the comments below if you want that. But I will say it was good to see some gameplay. It looked very flowy. A lot of people said very reminiscent of the modern Final Fantasy games, but it is taking on a lot more of the mechanics that we see now in a lot of action RPGs. So very excited overall to see that gameplay. And again, if you want me to cover the gameplay mechanics a bit more in depth in another video, just let me know. Other fun Easter eggs that I noticed and wanted to zoom in on a little bit So in the opening of the teaser, when the first hooded figure overlooks Shibuya Crossing, they're overlooking the main artery of the Dogenzaka Street. By the way, if I mispronounce any of these names, I apologize. And they're obviously looking down above an intersection. The building featuring the Dark Side battle is modeled after the Shinjuku Mitsui building. It's basically a business center. You can also see the Shibuya Hikari building, which is pictured on the right with the colorful umbrella billboard, and the glass paneled Q front building, which is visible in the background on the left. In the backdrop scene with Valley, when his face flashes, you can see the Shibuya station. These last two are really interesting. So with Luxor's face flash, you see buttons that seem to have some sort of Phoenix design when you zoom in on it. And then as the Master or the second hooded figure is walking, black feathers are coming down, which is a symbolism of something, usually not good. It's reminding me of two separate, but maybe not unrelated things. So first, because the black feathers are falling as this hooded figure is walking, maybe this person is walking near where the wind phone is located. As I talked about in a previous video, the legend of the wind phone is that is basically a grief mechanic for you to talk to people you have loved and care about who have since passed on. There's actually a wind phone booth in Japan. I'll put the name here because I forgot it. It was in my script of which district. So we saw in the previous release of screenshots that there was a rotary phone, which might harken to a similar usage of the wind phone, perhaps in Kingdom Hearts 4. So the falling black feathers might symbolize sort of this place where people have come to essentially explore their grief of those loved ones that they might have missed. The second thing the black feathers are sort of reminding me of is Sephiroth. Black feathers tend to fall whenever Sephiroth appears, at least in the Final Fantasy VII games, and actually in the Kingdom Hearts games as well. So I'm not sure if this is a hint that Sephiroth is returning to Kingdom Hearts, especially Kingdom Hearts 4, and if so, this would be very interesting, and I don't quite know how that would fit into the story, especially because that seemed to be a story like cutscene and not necessarily an extra, oh, we walked over here, so this triggered the Sephiroth fight scene. I'm not quite sure what the black feathers will wind up symbolizing or inferring when we actually play through the game, but those are my two guesses for now. And then the last thing that I will mention is that when we see the title card again of Kingdom Hearts 4, we see that's released on multi-platforms to include the Switch 2, but we still don't have a release date. I did mention in my reaction video, and this part I do hope I'm right on and it wasn't just excitement, that I do think that Kingdom Hearts 4 will definitely start its press run, promotional run summer of next year, especially after Final Fantasy VII Part 3 releases. However, as far as the release date, my guess will be winter, holiday or winter of next year, or early 2028, maybe spring of 2028. So those are my guesses. And maybe because Kingdom Hearts 4 and Final Fantasy VII Part 3 are made by the same company that is Square Enix. And it could be the case that Kingdom Hearts 4 might not be ready for a release date yet, although if it does have a 2028 release date, I would understand why they decided not to say so at the end of the second teaser, just that, hey, there's more, we're working on it, so stay tuned for more updates. But I do expect we'll probably by the next full trailer, we'll get some indication of a release date or release window. Like I said, I think it'll be winter 2027, late 2027 essentially, or early 2028, maybe into the spring of 2028. I know that 2027 marks the 25th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts releasing, and that's why I think there will be a strong promotional run during that year, but I'm not sure, although it would be nice. I'm not sure if the game will actually release in that year. So yeah, still no release date, but stay tuned. And I should have a couple of theory videos from this teaser, probably quite a few actually. So I'm excited to get to work on those. And like I said, let me know in the comments below if you not only want me to do some theories from this teaser, but also a little review of the gameplay mechanics. But let me know in the comments what you thought about the second teaser, or if you're excited for it. Because I've been away for a minute, I did have to refresh my brain a bit. So I'm sure I would like to think some of you probably had to do the same as well. But be sure to like this video if you like this video. Thank you all for watching and sticking with me through my unannounced hiatus. I had to take a bit of a break just because I was quite burnt out, both with my real life when it comes to my day job and just in content creation. When I'm burnt out, I can't quite create. And I want to put forth at least fair to good quality videos and not just push through the burnout. So I took a hiatus to basically focus on my health and touch grass a bit, which has been a great feeling. I actually was intending to come back around this time, so it's ironic that we got a teaser for me to come back on with loaded information. I will also say that I do have to take another hiatus sometime this summer, although for better reasons, thankfully. So I will keep you guys up to date on that if we are in the middle of regular outputs and then I have to take a break. But I'm hoping to be back pretty much regularly, back at the consistent full-time level that you guys got used to. Possibly, definitely with new designs, new features, possibly with the rebrand as well. I'm still deciding if I'm renaming this channel. I've renamed some of my socials. Oh, socials. If you want to follow me on socials, I will put them up here. I'm mostly consistent on Instagram. I do have Blue Sky, so I will try to be a little more consistent on Blue Sky. My Twitter account is there, but I do not really go on Twitter anymore for my own safety. So that's where we are with that. If you want to follow me on my socials, definitely my Instagram as well as Blue Sky. If there's anything that you might want me to cover, be sure to put that in the comments as well. And I will catch y'all next time. Bye.